We're going to talk today about WiSys software and how it improves business process for Macola. Today we're going to concentrate on buying, making, and shipping, and we're going to see how that will work. But we need to talk about what is warehouse management, WMS, and who needs it. Primarily, if you're here today, you're here because you want to improve things in the warehouse. A warehouse management system can help you organize your inventory and slot it into different spaces in the warehouse and keep track of it when you first touch it. I'm going to show you some techniques today about how we deal with inventory at the first touch point so we can really reduce the number of keyboard entries we have to make in the Macola database. So we really are trying to connect what happens in real time out in the warehouse to the front office and what they see as inventory. I've talked to controllers before, and they say they spend a significant amount of time in the warehouse validating what they look at in Macola as inventory, and does it really match up with the warehouse inventory? The good thing about what we've created for Macola is a real-time connection. WiSys is not a separate application that has a separate database. It's directly connected to your current Macola system. So when you pull the trigger on a scanner, your Macola system moves right then. There's no polling, no synchronizing, no back office updating procedure. It just happens or it doesn't happen. You put Wi-Fi in the warehouse and you're ready to go. So there's a lot of people that don't need WMS. So if you have less than 100 inventory items, maybe you don't need it. What if you only have a few sales orders that you have to process per day? What if your profits are pretty high and a 20% savings in terms of labor and movement wouldn't save you much? You might not need a WMS if you don't care where your items are in inventory. Everybody enjoys playing the game of concentration, running around trying to find stuff all day. Heck, don't you want them to be healthy and get their 10,000 steps in? And what if your team enjoys spending hours doing manual counting of inventory? It's kind of enjoyable on a Saturday and Sunday. You might not need a WMS if your inventory team is really proficient and accurate at data entry, and they're pretty fast at it. And what if you enjoy talking to your customers? Well, explaining why they got the wrong product. Kind of a pain, but hey, it's good to connect with customers. And you might not need a WMS if your quality is great and things are good to go. But in all seriousness, it's really important to track your inventory. How would you like to go to the bank and ask the banker where your money is, and they say, we can't find it right now? Inventory is an asset, and it's pretty important to know where it is. It's also important if you want to handle a larger shipping volume and be able to keep up with all that inventory movement. What if you could ship more and move more with the same number of people? And be able to count your inventory and maybe even mitigate the need to do inventory counts. Once you get up to about 99.5%, it's pretty good. We're all in business to increase our profitability, keep our customers and ship them the right products, and have really great customer service. I'm Bob Hawk. I'm the Director of Sales here at WiSys, and I'll be doing the presentation today. On the call with me today, Aaron is in the background. He's in the sales department. And Kathy Russell is also here. She's another presenter. She'll have a webinar coming up soon. You'll notice on the Go to Webinar screen, there's a place where you can actually type in questions as we go. So don't be shy, pound away, put them in there. Some will be answered as we go, and some will be used during the Q&A session. This is our 15th year. It's hard to believe, but we've been around 15 years now at WiSys. We have quite a few customers. You can see we have many different categories of customers making products, from food items to pharma, metal products, chemicals, plastic injection. What's common about all these customers is they have inventory complexity. Many times they're keeping track of lot numbers or serial numbers, and they also want to know where stuff is in the warehouse. I know many of you have tried to turn on bin control, and it's really frustrating to do bin control without a scan gun real-time system. It just means you have to write more transactions down, people have to do more work, and try and keep up all the time, and it can be quite a hassle. So a lot of people in the past would have said, bins don't work in Macola. That product just failed. Well, Macola has a really great design for bins and lots and serial numbers. You just have to keep the data going and keep it up to date. The applications you're going to see today are working with Macola, and we are embedded and integrated with the software. That means WiSys, when it's installed, is right inside your Macola company, and we're using your Macola tables. We work with progression, and you can see that's a fairly old version of Macola. So if you're on an older edition, I know 7.6 is quite old, but we're compatible with anything above that. Macola ES and any version of Macola 10. What's great about that is you can stick our product in with your progression, and if you're working with a consultant to get upgraded to Macola 10, you'll be able to just get a new contract for free from us, maybe do a day's consulting and just plug back in everything you've got with Macola 10 and you're off and running. It looks the same, it feels the same, your workers won't need to be retrained. It's easy to work with and keep going. All right, the WiSys applications you're going to see are designed to work out of the box. If you Google out of the box, it basically means the products are there with base functionality that work as they're designed as you buy them. But we know that everybody's business is a little different. So we say we're flexible. You can take our out-of-the-box product, and working with a consultant or yourself using our tools, you can tweak it. As we say, we tailor the software. We don't, just like going to the store and getting a pair of trousers, you don't have to send them back to Vietnam to have them fixed if you want to tailor the product. You just do it right there at the store. That's what consultants do with our applications. They fix them right there on the spot. All right, the applications, what are they? Agility WMS. This is our core product. The applications that you purchase can be purchased on a modular basis, or you can buy them like Macola 10 as an all-in named user license. It's your choice. But most people start with this module because it has the basics in there for POs, for inventory transactions, cycle counting, the basics for shipping, and really everything along the way. We also add pallet management. This is a new layer to Macola. Many times when I visit customers, you look in their warehouse and guess what? They are stocking inventory by pallets. When product comes in flat packed from China sometimes, it's in a container and you palletize it and you put it away. You'll notice the word license plate number, LPN. The LPN is a number that keeps track of the pallet, what's on the pallet, even down to the lot numbers. All you do is move one number and everything on that pallet moves. And we can make pallets at receiving, we can make them in production, and then we can ship pallets. Pallets will be another webinar coming up in the future. Today I'm going to work with standard manufacturing. WiSys has a manufacturing execution module for POP and for shop floor. For those of you that are considering moving to shop floor, you'll be able to work with our applications with shop floor. But many times people move to shop floor because they want a variable material model. WiSys with POP has the ability to issue and return material. So we can do in POP what you can do with shop floor with material. That's another future discussion. But by and large, you can do many transactions here with the scan gun to create your inventory. And if you're going to buy stuff, make stuff, and ship stuff, this is the shipping module we use for picking and packing. This allows us to build mixed pallets with cartons and items on it and get those prepared for shipping, all the way down to the labels and documents for packing lists and bills of lading. And if you have data masons, we integrate directly with data masons. You'll also see some grid technology today, some of our grids to look at billing and invoicing. So we're not just doing scanning, we're also giving you tools to work out in the warehouse. I mentioned earlier that if you want to tailor the software, you would use the Agility Design module. So you can see here, here's PO receiving. Imagine your company needs to do a purchase order receipt of a line item, and during the receiving process, you need to capture the temperature of the container or the item that you're receiving. You can simply add a field and put logic behind that to update your Macola database. That's what consultants can do for you. And I'm going to plug Kathy's next webinar on Agility Analytics coming up next week on the 21st. That's Thursday. And you'll be able to see Kathy working with our analytics product. Many people are talking about business intelligence, talking about dashboards. I know many of you may have a dashboard already. This is a very flexible dashboard, and you can create things that you want. And these dashboards will work not only in our client-server Agility, but also on a browser. You'll see that, how you can deploy and put things inside of Macola 10. All right, let's get to it. Today's presentation will be about campfire s'mores. I'm going to be manufacturing cases of product that will include graham crackers, chocolate, marshmallow, and that sort of thing. All right, 1 second while I change screens. All right, I'm now in my virtual machine using Macola, and I have an outline that I'm going to go through. And I'm going to start with the end in mind. Sometimes when you watch a movie, the movie starts with the end of the movie, and then you wonder how'd they get there. So let's take a look at a scenario that you might end up with in customer service. I'm going to use the Agility desktop application. This is called Agility Explorer. And I'm going to open a component. You'll notice over here we have folders. And inside the folders are components. I'm using my favorites. I'm opening one called Inventory Lot Trace. So I have a filter over on the right. And you can imagine the horror when someone calls up and says, I've got a major problem with your product. It's moldy. And someone asks for the manufacturer's number, which would be this number here, and you enter that. And you can put whatever item number you want to look at. And you'll notice I have a date range down at the bottom here. Rather than looking at a year's data, I'm just going to look at a set of data that I can deal with for today. And I'm going to get back everything related to this lot number. And I'm going to be able to drill back into the information. And you can imagine that if you have an inspector there or an auditor, somebody that's asking a lot of questions, it'd be handy to get back to that information pretty fast and get them out of there. So I have things organized by transaction date and time. So if we look down here, I have the last transaction was my sales order. When I click these different items, notice that the dialog box up here responds. So if I click order, over here it's showing me that this is a history order. There's my invoice. I have most of the information right here, but I do want to drill down back into that. If it was an open order still and I hadn't posted it, it'd be in a different dialog. So here's the base data. I can see who I shipped it to. And if I had lots of sales orders that I shipped with that same lot number, I'd be able to drill back into all of them right here on this user interface. I can get back to the invoice if I even need to. Sometimes that's good enough. And I have all the information right here, including the tracking number and the lot numbers that would have been included. Get the shipment data. So here's my shipment information if I just want to drill down into that. And this happens to be a test sample order, so here's my tracking number. But if this was a live tracking number, I just press this trace button and it'll open up UPS or FedEx, the tracking system in the browser. And I can go out there and look at that information. So you can see here that my test number has really never been sent to UPS, so they don't know about that. Okay? Let's continue. So now you wonder, what's up with that lot number? Let's go to the production of that lot. So now I'm going to go to the shop floor data. And I can go back and I can look at the shop floor manufacturing detail. But really what I want to know about is the materials that were issued to that job. So right here, I can get back into that. And somebody is going to look at these items in the quality group. And I can actually drill down into that information if I need to. And actually what I want is I want to go to the tricks for that, the transactions. So I'm just going to highlight the one I want to look at and click Inventory Transaction. And I can see the marshmallow cream and that sort of thing. And I can even drill down into the serial lot data right here. If I need to go to Excel, really that's what you want, is you want to print off documentation to give to that auditor. I can get back into that information very quickly. Okay. And so now that I know that marshmallow information, I'm going to come back to my filter and change this. And I'll go ahead and change it to the marshmallow cream. And I need the lot number for that. I think it was this one. I'll have to double check. Nope. So it was 8051. And you'll notice here that from the quality standpoint, I might want to come in and just place the balance of this product, this quantity that I've got on hold. I'm going to put it on hold right here and just say place on hold. So you can get a visual here that I have placed that on hold. This is a very simple transaction for Macola. You would just bring up that inventory item and that lot in Macola and check that box in the Macola system. But you can see that we've made it really easy to put this balance of that information on hold. I'm going to use that in a minute. So let's go ahead and take that off hold. Okay, that's lot trace, beginning with the end in mind. Now, before I actually get in and do the buy it, make it, ship it, I noticed that the number of people that showed up for the webinar today, about 75% of you are current customers, and about the balance were prospective customers. So I'm going to do a little bit under the hood here for you so you can see some things you might not know are built into Macola. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take a look. I'm going to come up here to some tools. In my tools, I'm going to remind you that we have a new Agility label designer. So we've used Crystal and Nice Label for years, and there were some changes with label products and how they were sold and distributed, and it was going to cause a lot of friction for our customer base. So we added an Agility label designer. So I'm going to show you what that label designer looks like. Kathy recently had a webinar about the label designer. You could watch that if you're interested. Crystal reports are going to continue to work, and so will Nice Labels. We're not going to take that away. But for those of you that need to move forward and need a label product, we have one built in now. That could be a huge savings for you. Another tool that's part of your WiSys toolbox is something called Scan Audit. So this is how we set up the Scan Audit. Over the years in doing work with customers, many times we want to know when somebody does something out in the warehouse, I want to see everything that person does. I want to see how many times they make a mistake. I want to see how many times they scan the wrong information. Even eventually, if they get it right, I want to see all the mistakes that are happening. So we can set up Scan Audit to keep track of all the nitty-gritty. We can do it by user, or we can do it by form. And I'll just remind you, WiSys has users and roles. But here, I'm going to come down to the PO receiving form. I'm going to add PO receiving to that list. So all of these forms right now, whenever you use them in my system, I'm going to keep track of the nitty-gritty. And it's something you want to think about, how long you want these to be active, how much data are you going to generate in a table that you're going to come back and look at. This could be handy for people that want to look at a group of people, maybe your pickers, and look at the number of orders picked per hour and get all those metrics about that. So I'll save that. The other utility I'm going to use is Lot Builder. So you'll see today I'm going to use Shop Floor. And when I use Shop Floor, we've created the ability to get a lot more information during the lot building process. You'll notice that I'm going to use the shop order number. You can see here's the shop order table, and here's the field that I want. There are other things that I'm going to use down here. Notice I'm going to use the Julian date. So there's quite a few different options here that Macola allows, but as long as you fit it into the same 15 characters, we're going to give you the ability to make multiple segments here. So notice the Julian date, 8 and 7 fit perfectly into 15. That's why I like using it for demonstration. And it's available to use in POP the same way. All right. One more utility. Maybe you didn't know it was there. I'm going to go down to the system utilities, and I'm going to talk about bin conversion. So WiSys makes it easy to do the transactions on the gun, but we also have some nice utilities here where you can come in and convert items. Maybe you've already got some items that are lotted in your database, and you want to convert them to bins. So I'm just going to filter here to what I want to work on, fork, and I want forks that are the MA warehouse and the ones that are lotted. So I'm just going to filter down to the items that I want to bin, and I can bin a group of items, maybe a product family that you're working on. You want to try something new and turn on bin control. The benefit of doing this, watch how easy this is when I push the convert button. It says I'm about to convert this item, and you better have a backup. And boom, I'm going to convert these items to the temp bin. Now, why do I do to the temp bin? The idea is to take every open document that you have, purchase orders, sales orders, shop orders, POP orders, everything that's in process that needs to know that that item is binned from now on has just been updated. using our utility. It's kind of a big deal. Talk to your consultant or your IT person about that, and this could really be a time saver for you in terms of time and also consulting dollars to get that job done. Okay. And finally, one more utility is the OE file import. So imagine that you're connected to a website somehow and you get sales orders every day from a website and you want to get them in the system. Maybe your customers send you a spreadsheet. Maybe your sales reps do spreadsheets. I'm just going to use this option here, and I'm going to come out and I'm going to grab a file that was emailed to me called import sales. I'll hit it. It's just imported 15 rows. And you'll see now I have information that was just imported into the system. This could be simulated from a simple website traffic. You'll notice that I know a lot about the information from the website, but many of these fields are irrelevant to Macola. So using our tool set, you simply just map the fields that you need to the OE object, and I have the customer number, and I have the item number, and I have the quantity, and I have the warehouse, and the recommended shipping method. And many of those other fields just aren't necessary for Macola, but it's what came in off the website. So as long as you have the basics, you can bang it right in. So I'm going to push this button down here. It says Create Sales Orders, and I'm going to count 1 to 6 in my mind. And by the time I get there, I'm done. So the more you import, the longer it'll take, but it doesn't take that long compared to data entry, does it? So that is sales order import. All of the things that I've been showing you are built right into the WiSys application. Let's take a look at one more. This will be something Kathy will discuss, but this is the dashboard component. I particularly like this one. The idea behind this is to manage your orders to 0. So you'll notice here that I have my different order statuses that have been released to be shipped. Pick ticket, pack list, shipped, billed. So the idea is you want this graph to go down and this graph to go up. And you can keep this up on a monitor. We have some customers that do that, and these will refresh, and you can look at the data periodically as you walk by and see how you're doing. But if I click on this information, the information is refreshed down here. So if I want to see the orders that have been billed, I can see those down here. And you get past due orders, and you get future booked orders, and some things like that that would look a lot better with your live data. Okay, that's enough for the tools. Let's get down to doing some transactions. All right, I mentioned that WiSys has the Agility desktop, and we use the desktop application primarily because we want to look at our information in real time. I know many of you have crystal reports that you love and live and run your business on, but as you begin to go real time, you need new tools, and that's what grids can do for you. This grid, I can push my F5 button, or I can just hit this refresh button here anytime and get a fresh view of data. So we have all the master files, sales orders, shop orders, pop orders, purchase orders. There's master views for all those things. Now, some of you are probably report writer people. You know the Macola database. I want a field that is not part of my view, and I'm just going to slide down here and get a user-defined field, and I want user-defined field 1. I'm just going to drop it on the screen, and I'm just going to rename this to special. And I always leave the user-defined UDF1 so I can remember where I got that data. But now I just customize that grid, and I'm going to use it the way I want. When I loaded my data for today's presentation, I put BMS, buy it, make it, ship it, on the items I want to work on. So let's take a look at these items. This is my s'mores item. This is my finished good. Quantity on hand is 0. 96 is on order. When I hover on this item, I have different buttons at the bottom that will light up for me. So if I want to drill in and look at that shop order, I can see that I have an open shop order here. Here's the quantity on order and the quantity complete. And it shows me the type. I've already created it and released it. I got my shop packet and all that. So that's what's going on there. Probably the next question is, that last minute bit of information, do I have enough material to make this thing? So it just so happens that I've organized my data today to show you that I've got a shortage. And if I need to make some of this stuff, I want to make 96 cases, it'll tell me how much I need for each of those. So I'm still good, except for that. All right, so let's do some more automation. And we could review these items, but you already know that that one item is short. So I'm going to use another component called the inventory reorder advice. And we have this set up. I have my grid organized now by vendor. I just dragged a field up here, and I've organized all my items that I purchased by default vendor. So here I have my graham crackers, and you'll see that my reorder level is 1,000. I'm beyond each of these, so I need to order some of each. And I'll just come in here and check the ones I want. I can get them all if I click this button, but I've got the graham crackers, the milk chocolate, and the marshmallow cream. I'm going to skip the peanut butter today, although I do like that. And the quantities here, I'm going to enter 1,000. And just like entering it on a PO. And I could even change. You'll notice here that we put these fields in bold because we've made these to be changed if you want to. And then I'll set the switch here to print. And I want to get these 3 items on a purchase order, and I want to print 1 copy with each of those items. So I'm just going to push the button down here. And what this is going to do is it will create the PO, it will release it, and print it all in one go. So there's my PO, 8052. Tells me the number here, confirmation. And then I'm done. All right, so I have that available to me. And now it's time to get busy out in the shop. Go ahead and minimize this. And we'll go ahead and use Agility Mobile. Now I'm going to go ahead and log in. And every component, even though there's lots of components that run on the gun, Joe only has these. And these components are organized by distribution, pallets, POP, and shop floor. So now that I created that PO and released it and printed it, it's a valid PO for me to use. So I'll go ahead and do my reporting. And I have my PO to receive again, so I'll scan that. And you'll see that the system is allowing me to type or do a lookup or scan. Anytime you see that blue line, you can do any of the following. And so I'll scan another field, and I made a mistake. So that mistake is going into that scan audit table. I'm going to correct that. And notice that the manager doesn't have to come out and beat the employee and say, quit doing it wrong. The computer tells them they made a mistake, and they're going to correct that right now. So there's my graham crackers, and it says that I'm going to receive that. And today, my lot number, the way my company runs, I use my purchase order number as the lot number, and I'll enter 1,000. And you'll notice that on each of these forms that has the need to print, I can get to the printer. You can see that my Agility label is going to go to my local Zebra printer. And that's important because when Joe uses it, he wants it to come out to a printer near him or on his belt printer. Or if Tom uses it, you want it on Tom's printer, and they can be different. I'll just hit save, and that process will happen, and you'll hear me print a label. So my label printed, I pull it off, and I label the product. Rather than having another employee have to go to a machine and print out a bunch of stuff, you can do it as you go. That's a time saver. Okay, let's get the next item. And also notice where it's going. It's being received to the bin that's at the dock, DOCK, and that's where it's going. If I look in Macola right now, you would see that product at that spot. Okay, I've got my labels and I'm good to go. So now my receiving is done. I could go through the process of a put away transaction, and a put away is really just a one-sided move. We know the bin is the dock, and we're going to take it out to the warehouse and put it into an open slot. So there's lots we could discuss about put away, but we're going to keep it simple and just leave that product at the dock so I don't get confused with the demo. All right, I'm going to go back to Agility just real quick, and we're going to go look at Scan Audit. And we'll pick just this week, and we'll see those transactions. So if you look here, you can see all the transactions, including the mistake that I made. And those are all marked down to the scan gun that I used and the user right here. So you have a lot of accountability and information at your fingertips as you might need it. Okay, we're going to use shop floor today for our manufacturing. And we're going to keep it simple, but I want to show you a couple things. Half the people on the call today are POP customers, and the other half are shop floor. I'm going to show shop floor because I know a lot of POP people going to Macola 10 are thinking about moving from POP to shop floor. But let's stop and just look. With POP, I can issue material instead of backflush. So if you have a variable bill of material, you can actually issue and then put away. I'm going to also mention that I can manufacture to the pallet. If I'm going to manufacture full pallets of product and put them in the warehouse, or even manufacture them to ship them as full pallets, I can do that right here. And I can also do a POP order, report finished goods, to a bin called staging. I'm going to make to ship, so I'm going to make this product and ship it. So POP has all the same power that I'm going to show you over here with shop floor. So keeping it simple, we have our shop order in the system, and my shop order is 86, so I could scan, type, or do a lookup on my shop order. And I need to issue the product into production that I need. So in any order I want, I can scan them, and it tells me to issue the material. The remaining is 96. So the question is, how do I want to issue them? I know they're coming out of the dock bin, and the lot number, I have to catch the exact lot. So there's the lot, and I'm going to issue 96. So that product is issued into WIP now. Do the same thing here. And the graham crackers. And you know what? I'm going to issue a little bit more because I'm hungry. Nobody will know. Okay, so I've overissued into WIP. That's what happens when you make food, right? You got a recipe. Sometimes things don't work out. You need a little more of this or a little less of that. And that's how we do it with issuing material. Okay. And now for production. I'm going to produce my cases. So again, I would scan my shop order. And I'll just stop here and let you look at the screen. And you can see if you can pull apart the work order number and the Julian date. So you can see it's all there, and I padded it with zeros. So when I make these finished goods today, I'll make them and they will go to the staging bin. I'll go ahead and make 96 cases. And you'll hear me get a label that goes to my printer. Now I'm only printing one label, but I have 96 cases, and I don't think you want to hear the printer go for 96 cases. But that's how you would do it. When you print, the scan gun can ask you for the quantity, it could do the exact quantity, or it can print one as you go. Lots of options there for printing labels. And if you pre-print your labels, a lot of people with their shop order, their shop packet, they may pre-print labels. They don't want to wait around for a printer to print. So if you pre-print your order with the labels, maybe your best practice is to scan every case that goes on every pallet. And that's certainly another way to do labeling, is to pre-print them with your shop packet. All right, so here we go. We're going to go back now to our order console. And at our order console, s'mores, you'll notice that I don't have a sales order. So I'm going to go ahead and use Agility. I'm going to use it in the order console. So the concept with Macola 10 as a graphical user interface was to be able to put the Macola components in a browser and organize them the way you want. We took that a step further, and we organized components in Macola inside of our grids inside of Agility. So imagine if you could just sit on this as a unified information system. And I know this may be a lot for some of you that want a lot of separation in duty, but if you have people that wear a lot of hats, imagine if all these buttons up here from a list, there's about 150 different buttons in Macola that you uniquely can add to your ribbon bar. Just like Word or Excel, you have a ribbon bar here, and you can add the components that make sense for you. So I have edit. I could edit a sales order. I'm going to go ahead and enter a sales order. And you have to do what? You have to push the button twice, I guess. So here you go. You have the order button, and you bring up Macola order entry. So rather than recreate the wheel, I've had people over years say, why don't you have order entry in a grid? But frankly, Macola's order entry is pretty darn good. So I'm going to come in here, 901, and I'll put it on buy it, make it, ship it, number 2. And you'll see it's a UPS order here. I'll hit enter. And I'll come across here, and I'm going to order 48 cases. And I have 48 cases in stock because I just manufactured them. So my sales order is 931. And you'll see if I just refresh this grid, there's 931. And there's the PO. So instantly, any of the customer service people using this grid, and maybe they want to focus down on 901, and they want to look at just UPS orders. And what else? And maybe I just want to see any open order for that customer. There you go. There's all your orders. I can come in here and do things with all these orders, or I can just do something one at a time. Since I've already filled that back order because I manufactured the product and it was there, I'm going to go ahead and just print a picking document. So If you have your favorite pick ticket that you've used for years, you just work with a WiSys consultant or your regular consultant, and they will have to rewire your favorite pick ticket into our view so you can get the data if you want to use it like I'm using it today. I'll go ahead and print this off. Did it print correctly? Yes. And then that order falls off that status of status 1, and it's now a status 4. So you can see all the orders in play. And if you're really looking at that dashboard that Kathy made with the manage to zero, you can imagine you can see all those different orders moving around. Okay. Now that the order is released, I can actually pack up the order. So I'm just going to leave this grid here, go back to the scan gun, and I'm going to use pack cartons. So I'm going to create a brand new shipment number with a brand new carton. I don't need to know what it is right now, but I am going to scan my sales order. I'm going to use that because I want to get it right. So there is my sales order that I'm scanning, and the item that I'm going to put on there is that, and I know where it is. I could have it defaulted, but it's at the staging area. And the lot number, I'm going to scan it right off the label that's on the carton that I'm going to ship. And on this particular carton is 24. Now, barcodes can be used in a lot of ways. And if you have a unit of measure with a barcode, we can actually catch that also and know that there's 24 in a case. That takes a little bit of extra work, but it's built into our system if you have barcodes for that. So I'm going to hit save. And I can see now that I'm working on shipment 403, and I'm packing a carton 432, and I have my label that I'm just going to put on that carton. I'm going to click New Carton. Now, before I go there, let's go back over to the shipping system because Macola customers work in teams. You'll probably have a shipping manager. The shipping manager might have this at their work center, or maybe you have several work centers where you ship from. If I do a lookup for that shipment that I'm building, you can see that I have one carton of s'mores on there, and it comes down here and it shows me down at the bottom that there's still more to go. I still need to have more to ship. It tells me who, the package information, things like that, what's happening, who did it. All that's there, but I don't have the quantity to ship yet. So let's go back to the handheld. So I've got another new carton. I'm working on the same sales order, and I'm going to ship more s'mores. And they're coming out of the same bin, and they catch the lot number 24. I'll get another label for that carton that I'm packing. And it's a nice UCC 128 with all the detail that you need to go to a retail store. And we're just about done. I just refreshed this screen and you can see what's happening. So I know a lot of you make big things and need to stage material. It may take several days to get enough material ready to go, but as you build those shipments and stage the material, you can see what's happening. Shipments stay there. You don't have to print the bill of lading or the packing list or anything until the shipment is ready to go. You'll see now I'm directed. If this is a UPS order and it is ready to go, I'm going to push the UPS button. And you're going to see the final screen here. And you, again, will hear UPS orders printing labels. So WiSys is completely integrated back into UPS, FedEx, and USPS. So there's my two labels for those two cartons. And you can print those at different times depending on how you run your business. What's nice about that is all that information is available in the system. I can now track and trace all those lot numbers. And Macola is actually up to date. If I just take a second to make you even more of a believer, I'll just go to Macola and go to order processing, and we'll go to sales orders, and we'll look at my sales order 931. 931. And if I look at the lines, you can see that those tracking numbers have been written at the line level. So we do that a little differently than some of the other shipping products that would write the master tracking number to the header. We actually write that to the lines. Okay, so WiSys is all about faster and easier. So let's go back to the Agility application again. And again, we're still in the order console. I'm going to hit refresh. And what I want to do is open this up a little bit. And I want to look at the billing grid. And you'll see now, if I look at here, here's my order that I have. When I refresh the screen, you can see it's a status 7. And I can bill for all the orders that are status 7 here. I could come in and just bill them all. Or I can bill one at a time. I can use the billing grid to do that. I guess. Here's my billing grid. Here's my order. I could bill them all if I want. I'm going to keep it simple and just come down here to the order I have. I might want to make a comment. And then I push the billing button. And it billed it. It's now a next status. And now I'm going to take it to a 9. And I'm going to make it easy to get invoices out too. Again, this is all going into that trace grid if you want to see it. I'm going to go ahead and put that here. And you'll be able to see that. So there's my invoice that I printed. So that's pretty good. We're just about down to a few more minutes, 10 minutes to go. And let me check my outline. Did I miss anything? Oh, the only other thing you might want to do is do a little posting. And so here I want to look at orders. Clear that. Get rid of that window. And get rid of that. So you can see my order status is 9. And I'm going to come in and do posting. And I can come in here and post everything that's in that group. And so I'll go through the posting process right here. I know some of you controllers out there are thinking, I'm not doing that. That's okay. You can just take that button off the screen and you're good to go. Okay, Aaron and Kathy, do we have any questions?
Let's open up for questions right now. I think we have one question and not complete. So let's open up the group for questions. If you want to put that into the GoToWebinar grid at the right, you can add any of the questions that you might have in there. We'll give that a second or two.
We do see a question out here asking if they can get a copy of the recording.
You certainly will be able to do that.
Yeah, we'll send up a follow-up with the recording for you to have so you can pass it around to people in your office or in your group. So we'll get that to you after the completion of today's webinar. Okay.
All right. You guys are a quiet group. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. If there's no other questions, I appreciate your time, and it's been great. Well, don't forget to look for Kathy's webinar coming up next Thursday. Thanks, everybody. Bye now.